So in this example, we are going to be scheduling meetings, and we're going to use colors to do that. The colors don't have to just be used for coloring maps. They could also be used for other logistics, such as this example for scheduling meetings. So this problem says, suppose employees of a company serve on several corporate-wide committees. The committees are Finance, Human Resources, Public Relations, Union Negotiations, Employee Relations, Community Planning, Well-being, and Managerial Committees. Some employees are members of more than one committee, which creates a conflict when scheduling committee meetings. The table lists the committees and their respective conflicts, and you can see here is the table here. And it says, according to the table, use a graph to represent the committees that conflict. Determine the fewest number of possible meeting times in which there will be no conflict for committee members. So obviously, some members of one committee could be members of another committee. So if they were to schedule those two committees at the same time, obviously that employee can't attend both meetings. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different committees. So I'm going to have 8 different vertices. The vertices are going to represent the different committees. So I'm just going to go ahead and I like to make it kind of circular. There isn't a map that we can follow. So I'm going to kind of make it as circular as I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. A little lopsided, but that's okay. I'll mark this one as maybe finance with an F, and then I'm just going to go around and mark each one. This one I'll make managerial, and you can mark it any way you want. It doesn't have to go in any particular order. I'll make this well-being. This one will be community planning. Here, how about employee relations, union negotiations, public relations, and then finally we have human resources. Now the edges are going to show which committees are in conflict, where they'll have more than one employee per committee. So for the finance here, it's in conflict with the managerial and the well-being. So I'm just going to go ahead and make an edge, finance and managerial, finance and well-being. According to the table here, human resources has a conflict with community planning and employee relations. So here's human resources here. Here's community planning and employee relations. Now keep in mind that just because there's an employee on human resources and that employee is also on community planning, that doesn't mean that somebody on community planning is also on human resources. So it kind of works just one way, okay? Public relations with well-being and human resources. Here's my public relations. Here's well-being. And then human resources. Union negotiations, that's with finance, has a conflict with finance and managerial. So here's union relations, finance, and managerial. Employee relations has a conflict with community planning. So community planning, managerial, and well-being. Community planning, managerial, and well-being. And then finally well-being with union negotiations. So now we're going to use colors to delineate between the relationship between here, and the number of colors we have will show us the minimum number of different meeting times that have to be set. So I like to start with the vertex of the highest degree. So here's managerial. It's got 1, 2, 3 right here. Well-being also has 1, 2, 3, and 4. Union negotiations has 1, 2, 3. So it looks like well-being has 4. So I like to start at the vertex with the highest degree. So we'll start here. And again, you can use any colors. I like to use the primary colors. So I'm going to mark this as blue. And then I'm just going to go ahead and go around the graph here. So this can't be blue because it's blue here. So we have to introduce another color. So how about if we introduce red? This can't be red, but it can be blue. So we'll go back to blue. There's no need to introduce another color. After all, we're trying to keep the colors down to a minimum. Over here, this can't be blue. So I'm going to go back to red. Up here, can't be blue. So we'll leave it as red. Human resources cannot be red, and it cannot be blue. See it here? So we'll introduce a third color. How about if we do green? Finance here cannot be red, and it cannot be blue. So we'll stick with green. And finally, managerial here, it cannot be green, and it cannot be red, but I guess it could be blue. So as we can see, we have blue, red, and green. Since we have 3 colors, we have to have a minimum of 3 different meeting times. And there we go.